So welcome to another live show. So my name is Edmund Tan and welcome. I would like to take this chance to actually hope that everybody is actually staying safe at home. All right, so we are all staying at home. We want to be healthy. So eat well, sleep well, and stay healthy. I think that's all we want to today. So yesterday actually there was a very big article regarding property details. And what I want to do today is really to address this article of the property. If you have not known, don't worry, just stay tuned. I will furnish you with more information. And so I took the last almost the entire 2.5 hours just now, piecing up some of all this information because I want to make sure that you get the best value out of this entire session with me. All right. So if you are seeing this right and you're hearing me right, you'll just do comment yes or give me some loves and hearts. I will know that actually you are watching this, and I'll be doing my very best to actually explain to you what is the current Singapore market moving forward. If you have not liked and follow us, this is the screen. Yes. If you have not followed, this way, yes. If you have not followed and like us, do feel free to just go to the Facebook page. Or if, let me see, just adjust this a little bit. Yep. And remember to put in your notification to see first. All right. So if you put in your notification to see first, you'll be able to see me directly. But before I go into the main topic, all right, the main topic today is the gloom and doom of Singapore property market. All right. So whenever you hear the gloom and the doom, it's like, oh no, everything is crashing now. Everything is, oh no, tama, everything. But don't worry, later on, I will explain to you my perspective and what are the different areas that you might want to actually take note of, not just based on the headlines. All right. So, but before I continue, I just want to make an announcement. All right. This announcement, for those who have joined us yesterday, you actually have the first mover advantage, right? So tomorrow, I'm going to do a very private live session, which will not be broadcast on Facebook. All right. So this live session tomorrow at 7:30, same time, it'll be a special edition because I realize that there's a lot of us in this community. You are trying to seek certain answers, and you'll be asking me a lot of questions throughout the last 2 to 3 weeks from this circuit breaker about how property is. So what I'm going to do tomorrow is to host this very intimate session. All right. It could be maybe about 20 to 30 of you, and that's the maximum that I allow. All right. I don't like mass crowd. I just like intimacy, right? So for the 20 or 30 of you, right, if you're able to register for tomorrow's session, it will be kept private, meaning I will not broadcast it live. None of the community inside will be able to get access to it. Only you who are going to register for it will get this one-to-one session. I won't say one-to-one, but you get to actually have this session together with me privately. All right, so it will be done on Zoom tomorrow, Thursday, 7:30. All right, you'll be actually having this session with me privately. All right, so that's when I will actually run through some of the questions that the community has asked for the past 2 to 3 weeks, and I will address them accordingly. But at the same time, I will be teaching you how to do one very specific learning that I want to deliver to you guys. How do you spot opportunities in a crisis? All right, the question is, how do you actually spot opportunities in a crisis? All right, so I'm going to cover quite a fair bit in terms of this tomorrow privately. So if you have not, let me maybe just put in the, let me see, the link so you can register yourself. All right, so let me just put it into the comment section right now, and you can just click. All right, right now, if I'm not mistaken, we are already crossing the 20 people mark, and like I said, I just want to keep it as intimate as possible. I'm not going to have a mass group, because I want to make sure that every one of you are being addressed in terms of your concerns, and I want to take my position to help you guys to understand moving forward. Perhaps there will be some situation that you want to be, and you do not know whether is that the best solution. All right, so I'll give my 2 cents worth from my perspective and how I have helped so many families to progress in terms of their property. All right, so let's just dive straight into the session. All right, so COVID-19, all right, they always call 危机, right? 危机, 危险, 危险. All right, my Chinese is actually very lousy, so just bear with me. So they always say that 危险, right? But when there's 危险, meaning danger, there could be also 危机. 机会, all right, 机会 means opportunity in China, in Mandarin, right? So even if it's a crisis, why would they want to put both a danger and an opportunity in it? Right, so this is what everybody, all right, will always have this understanding. When there's a crisis, they say that there's an opportunity. I tend to just, I don't think that is a fair statement. I think a fairer statement is that if there is a danger in front of you, are you able to see it from a different perspective? All right, it's not exact. It may not be exactly an opportunity, but it's a different perspective of how you see things, and could it be better? All right, so many of us, when we are in our business or in our work, right, many of the times when we hit an obstacle, we will always, bounce it onto it. But perhaps a third party could actually help you to see a different perspective, and that's when you'll be able to perhaps see some opportunity. And that is my role here as your consultant, as your community, because I want to give you guys a different perspective of how we have actually helped and advised our clients that even in a crisis like this, they are still taking action. All right, so I have, like I said, my role here is to make sure that you guys have the information and the knowledge, so when you want to make a decision in your property plans, you are able to actually move forward. Right, cool. So one of the key things yesterday, early in the morning, I did not know this news. All right, so to be honest, I do not know this information until the late afternoon. It was sent by a client to me, and when they text me, I was like, oh wow, what a headline. All right, that's my first thought. All right, if those who have read the papers yesterday and you know what I'm talking about, perhaps you want to just comment yes, you know what I'm talking about. Just comment yes. So when this client sent this article to me, right, I was like, wow, the headline is really very strong. All right, of course, I start thinking as a consumer, as any homeowner, because I'm also a homeowner, right? I'm also an investor, right? So then I start putting on my consumer hat. I was like, as I read the paper, I was like, scary, man. This kind of article, this kind of news, the market, property cannot make it. That's why it's a gloom and doom situation, right? And I agree. All right, I'm going to put forward, this is the worst situation ever when you read the papers. When you see the title, you'll be like, Singapore cannot make it already. The entire economy cannot make it. Recession will be maybe faster than any time. So this is how we perceive information from the media. And if you still do not know what I'm talking about, so this is the article that came out on the 5th May, right? 5th May, which is yesterday, right? So this article came out 5th May. And one of the interesting part is that it stated a very strong headline. And of course, as per all Singaporeans, when we read papers, we only read the headlines. We seldom go and read the fine prints unless it's relatable to you. All right, so if you're a normal consumer out there, all right, as a homeowner, what will your take be when you read a headline like this? All right, take some time. Perhaps you can just comment, what is your first thought? Is it fear? Is it the world is already, going bogus? Or you are telling yourself, this is just another headline? All right, so this headline is very, very strong. All right, half of developers likely to cut prices of Singapore new launches. All right, I'm bringing this article out because I want to address this and let you see a different perspective of how I see it. Okay, I'm not saying that everything on the papers is supposed to be nicely painted. Okay, but somehow I always feel, this is between you and me, we're in this community, right? And somehow I just feel some of the news articles out there, they contradict themselves without them realizing, because let's talk about property news, like for example, they really contradict themselves at times. Okay, I'll show you an example later. Or what do I mean? It's not I'm against the papers or I'm against all these editors or news reporter. It's not. It's just as a layman, do you agree? Will you have like 24 hours, 7 days, go to the papers, go to the news, and find property information and piece them up together? So let me ask you again, right? Will you have the time every single day, go through the papers, go through online research to make sure that the information that is being delivered is correct and they are being pieced together? So this is what I realize a lot of homeowners or consumers, the first mistake they make is they take what is out there. It's like taking things out of context. They take this information out and then they say that this is it. Oh, now developer likely going to cut prices, and they put it in front of you and tell you, no, prices will drop because the newspaper say so. Right? If you know yourself also had this intention, right? Don't need to comment anything. You know yourself. If let's say you also reacted this way, it's nothing wrong to react to what the media says. Right? It's nothing wrong, but it's a very surface understanding. I would say it's a very surface understanding that when we see the headlines, the first thing we say, "Wow, cham ah. Wow, half of developers cannot make it. Singapore going to go into recession. Are they going to go bankrupt?" You know, a lot of all this negativity comes in, and that is precisely what the papers want. The papers want this kind of headline so that you can draw attention to continue their subscription, right? You know, so I haven't been reading papers for the last, I don't know how many years. Many years. I think the last time when I really read a newspaper Straits Times, besides the classified last time. Alright, last time we still get our fingers black because I subscribe because of classified, not because of the content. Yeah, I think the last time when I really read was when I was secondary school. You know, I was reading the entire set every single morning for the first 2 hours to make sure that I cover everything. But then I think I've not been reading it ever since because I realized there's a lot of misrepresentation from the papers that it doesn't tell us the entire full picture. And that's why when this article came out yesterday, right, I just want to help to give you guys a different perspective. I'm not saying that what they did is entirely wrong, no, but there are certain gaps that you may not have realized, and I want to put this perspective to you and let you go and make the decision yourself whether this can be true or not. Fair? Because I don't believe that if anybody tell me what to do, that is correct. I think I want to do my own research and I want to do my own study to determine, is this headline correct? Half of developers likely to cut prices of Singapore new launches. All right. So if you haven't read this article, perhaps you can just go to Straits Times. You should be able to find it and help me out. You know, read the details. Okay, read the details. And there's a few things is like, you know, they always use words like this kind, likely, you know, but is it true? Is it true that developers are going to cut prices for new launches? Big question mark. You know, the way that we see the market in terms of developers, the study that we have with them, I will share with you what are the things that I found out. But let's just based on this article first. There's a few areas that I want you guys to really take note of. You know, the first of all, this is let me see whether I can pull out. Maybe it's a little bit too small that you all can see, right? But anyway, if you just put on the papers, right, you should be able to, let me see. Yep. So if you go and see the papers, you should be able to see that this, first of all, is a sentiment. Okay, here is RESI. They call it the Real Estate Sentiment Index. Wow, sentiment also got index. Alright, so very interesting. Alright, yeah. So it's also an index that they did a survey from the general public, and then they a small group of people, and then after that they kind of determine what is the sentiment that the group actually sends. So from the article here, they stated that the sentiment from the survey, so this is basically purely a survey. It's not a statement, it's not a press release, it's nothing. It's just a survey done among a group of people, I don't know who, that 54% actually saw so 54% actually saw a 2 to 5% new sale fall, you know, in 2020. So that is what they are trying to state in terms of the market. So the research and the survey done, not even research, it's a survey done that they see that 54% will see a 2 to 5% new sale drop. So if a new sale price drop like what they stated, or developer lighting, so they state that this is like a developer will cut price up because now everybody is worrying, right? It's correct that everybody is fearful. Then the next thing that they highlighted is that 46% highlight that in the resale market, it was like maybe about 5 to 8%. So the question I want to give a different perspective is that, first of all, this is just a survey, all right? Second is, how do they actually get all these numbers that it will actually slide 5 to 8% or even decrease by 2 to 5%? Who says and who is giving out all these statements? Is from the developers, from the resale owners, from the agents, or is just normal homeowners during this period? Of course, they will be fearful and they hope and they feel that the prices are going to come down? Right, so the reason why I want to bring this up is that I don't think that it is fair for us to just look at this at a headline and then say that the prices are coming to come down, because there are still some certain fundamentals in our real estate that we have to be a little bit more careful about. It's news like this, right, sometimes will make you worry, which is fine. We are supposed to be worried. If I'm telling you I'm myself is not worried about what is going to happen, I'm bluffing you. But if we have taken the necessary steps to ensure that our affordability, our safety nets are being covered during a crisis like this, right? Wouldn't it make sense for you to actually write this wave out totally? So when this article came out, right, at first I was like, wow, drop price. Well, actually drop price means more opportunity, right? So that's why we say that with 危机, right, where there's a 危险, which is the crisis, there's a 机会, opportunity. Hey, developer drop price. Hey, maybe that's a good price. Hey, resale price, sellers going to drop price. Hey, that's an opportunity for those who are ready. So only when you're ready and you're prepared, right? Basically, you will see wonders of opportunity instead of gloom and doom. All right. So I myself is very positive in this because why? I'm prepared. All right. I'm prepared that anytime when I know that there's a good deal out there, I will go in. It doesn't matter when the market is. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so when this article came out, and of course they were highlighting quite a fair bit of numbers based on the survey again. So I don't know, are they experts in property? Are they just normal homeowners? How's their income? Are they professionals? Are they white collar, blue collar? We don't know. I don't think they stated anything inside, but yeah, so this is done by NUS. So I'm not saying that they are wrong, but I guess the sentiment index. Okay, so it's still a sentiment index. So the sentiment index is what they are basically putting out for. But yeah, but they reach out like developers are going to drop prices, resale prices are going to come down. So I don't think this is fair. I'm not saying they're wrong, but I don't think this is fair to put this on the homeowners to add on to their fear. All right. I mean that's something that I feel very you know. I always feel that in terms of any form of instruments, whether it's stocks, shares, property, right? Of course, there's always this element of risk. But as long as we maintain our risk assessment properly and we do not over leverage, be it the market goes up and down, right? We are not speculating, so we should not be worried about information like this or news like this. So this is something that I want to actually help you guys see a different perspective. All right. So I would say that if you are those who actually, after reading the article, right, and you kind of very, very worried, you feel very worried, what's going to happen, in the next 3 to 5 years down the road for your property, maybe you can just comment worried below. Because I can assure you, maybe 70%, 80% of the whole entire Singaporeans, after they see this newspaper, they are also concerned. And that is the reason why I want to do a assessment like this, a sharing like this, just to put you on a different perspective. All right. So the newspaper states that developers are going to drop price, but this is just a sentiment index highlighting in a survey. All right, it's highlighted in the survey. So it's not that they go and interview developers one by one. Are you going to drop price? Or go to homeowners who are selling their property. Hey, are you giving discounts? So these are the things that is happening. But what's interesting is after 5th May, when this news came out. Okay, so this is the latest information that we just got. I just received this. That's why I went to. So I supposed to have a deck that I want to share with you all, but then this next information came in. I kind of adjusted the deck a little bit and I just fit this in. So I was a little bit late for today's session. Then on 6th May, which is today, today is 6th May, right? Today is 6th May, right? Then this article came out. Okay, so this is by M&D. M&D. It's not from me. You can go to the website and actually get this information. So on 6th May, the press release. So this is official. All right, this is official information. That temporary relief measures for property sector due to coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic. All right, so they actually came out relief measures for the property sector. So I'm very interested. Of course, property is my game, right? So I need to know what is happening. So as I scroll, okay, generally, I'll give you a summary lah. So no need to for you all to give you guys all these lingos, that is confusing sometimes. But in general term is that this relief is just like our loans and our car, all this we can basically defer, right? Even commercial industry, they also have their landlords to actually offer this kind of rebates. So in general term, the entire property segment, basically we have an extra 6 months. And whatever we are doing now, we are given 6 months until this entire COVID situation. So we are like, we have an extra 6 months to do whatever we want. So be it even when you're selling, or even if you bought a property already, you're in the midst of selling a property, whichever the case. So basically time stops now. All right, time stops now, and it will only resume 6 months later. So let me ask you this question. If you know that time is stopping and in future, then things will resume, what will you be doing now to make sure that you are able to actually ride on this opportunity that now everyone stands still? This is like once in, it never happened. It never happened that basically time is stopped. But we are now given this short period for us to actually look into our property plans, right? And see what you guys actually wanted to get back from. I see this as an opportunity. Why? Because never have in the entire property cycle market, right, that the government is injecting a lot of relief situations to help us. So if you are those who are thinking that the market is actually not proper, everything will come down, I have to tell you in your face, the government will not let it happen, because property is generally still one of the biggest ticket item that basically builds our economy and our GDP to a certain level. So never will they allow our property prices to come down to a certain level. It will be adjusted, but it will not, nosedive to a worst case situation. Because if it really does, you and me, we are not in a very good position. Not only you and me, the entire Singapore will be very, very tough. So I don't think you and I, we want that to happen. Yeah, so generally this article, I will send you the link later in the comment section so that you can actually take a look. Like I say, this is not from me, this is from MND. It's an official press release, just came out today. So yesterday, they talked about the bloom and gloom of Singapore property market. Then now they come in with a relief situation. We know what they are doing, so let's not comment too much on that. All right, we know what they are doing, but it's just to let you know. Sometimes when you look on some information, we don't want to just look at the surface. We may want to seek some of those who are really involved in the business or understanding about property, maybe some of your friends or relatives who has been purchasing and selling, buy and sell for many times, and they understand, they study this before. Ask them what's their opinion as well, right? So like for me right now, I'm also giving you a different perspective, a different opinion, so you can actually understand this and gather more knowledge for yourself. All right, so let me just put in the link below so you can also just go and read. Like I said, it's a lot of terminology, but let me see. Yes, so this is from MND, official press release that states that now everything is delayed 6 months. All right, a lot of extensions, whether it's in terms of developers, project time frame, even as a seller and buyer, to layman like this, you and me, we are given this kind of timeline. And for those who have no property, this doesn't apply to you. But right now is maybe it's time for you to really look into something, all right? Yeah, so as I was scrolling, this one, I don't know how many pages I forgot, but as I was scrolling, because this is about property sector, all right, so property sector, so I'm also involved in the property sector, whether it's a consumer, whether it's an investor, and of course as an agent. As I scroll, I was hoping that there's something to talk about relief for agents. But then, bo liao, nothing, zero. That's why agents, as an entrepreneur and a self-employed ourselves, actually a lot of things we don't have. And we are kind of being the forgotten one, unfortunately. Sometimes quite sad. They talk about property sector, but they talk about the developers, they talk about the sellers and buyers. Us there. They never think about us. They never even put in a press release to say that how they can help us. But well, I mean, of course, various companies are of course seeing what they can do. I don't know. I mean, for me, is just looking at life still goes on. Okay, that's why I always see that you can't control the situation, then don't go and beat about it. Don't go and shout about it. Don't go and cry over it. How can we turn the entire situation to our advantage is what I always look at. So even when our clients, when the families that we assist, whenever we come to an obstacle, when we come to a problem, we will not shy away from it. All right, we will always tackle it head on because we want to solve it. I don't believe there's no problem that cannot solve. Okay, everything can be solved. Not, I mean, of course, the old saying that 只要有钱就可以解决问题. As long as you got money, you can solve a problem. I'm not talking about money lah, but I'm talking about every problems out there. There are different ways of handling it. There are different solutions that can be found. There's different perspective that once we can see it, we can solve it. So that is my role to a lot of my families. A lot of them, they never think that for a family of 5, they can own, more than 5 properties. They never think that as a young couple, they're able to actually own 3 properties. So there are many ways to go around it. Well, of course, we're not saying that it's the same for every single family. All right. So when we do the assessment, when we run through our data, then we know how can we help you all, and we will do our very best to always help you to save money in the process. All right. To spend money, to use a lot of money to buy property, easy. All right. That one easy lah. You got money, you just buy and pay ma. But it's those that you and me we are not like the ultra rich, right? So we need to use as little money as possible to make the most out of it. Okay. So if I can use $1 million to make me an additional X amount, rather than I use 5 million to make the same X amount, I think I will use that 1 million. Okay. So I always gaoking to see what is the best way to save money for my clients and the families first, before we even proceed. Yeah, so speaking of saving money, right, if you have not, okay, so this is the chance for everyone in the community. If you have not done your refinancing, right, if you need help in terms of refinancing, or let me know, I can actually introduce you my bankers who have been working for very, very long. They are able to actually help you reassess your current property to see if the refinancing model helps for you guys to take on a lower interest rate. Right, if those of you who have been taking your property for the last perhaps 3 to 4 years and you haven't been refinancing, right, you are losing out on a very, very big discount. So I actually shared this difference in discount, I think, in my one of the session. So just go scroll through to the Facebook and see what you can find. Yeah, so this is the period where if you have a property and you're still servicing the loan, please contact me if you need help to refinance your property. All right, because the key thing is that you need to refinance it properly. Because previously, we're talking about maybe just barely 3 to 4 years ago, right? Your interest rate should be about 2.2 to 2.5% range. If you are unsure what is the interest rate right now, right, you can easily get about 1.7 to 1.8. So that's almost a 0.5% savings. It's still savings. All right. So what I understand is a lot of homeowners did not go into all these small little details. A few $100s is still money over time. All right. So I urge all of you, if you are owning a property right now and you are servicing your finance, your loan, and your interest is above 2%. Of course, if you are in lock-in period, then no choice. But if you're on those flexi period that there's no lock-in, maybe now is the best time for you to actually relook into your portfolio to see if there's a way for you guys to refinance. All right, the details I will not touch on today. All right, so I have a team of very capable bankers and lawyers and legal teams to help my clients to, add on value like how I'm actually adding to you guys. All right, so my team will actually help you guys to actually reassess what can be done, what cannot be done. Save some money lah. Every single month, even if we can save $100, in 1 year that amount can, we can eat something very good. You can eat more Hai Di Lao. You save $100, you can eat Hai Di Lao. Now cannot eat, but you can always buy back. I mean, you can do your home cook, right? Or you can order it. It's actually quite fun. All right. So that's why I say, if you are not in the know or you do not know anybody who can actually update all these details, you feel free to just comment in this community, and that is the reason why I want to share with you guys how to save money in process. And since the information today that came out, right? So yeah, so I'm going to give you guys a quick maybe history of this is something that most of us we don't know. And this information came out in Business Times. All right, they call it the chilling effect, which is actually our cooling measures. All right, our cooling measure. So do you know actually the cooling measure has been implemented since 20 years ago? All right, so here stated 20 years ago. When the cooling measure was introduced, every one of us will think only 2013. Right, agree or not? All right, if you can only remember 2013, or maybe the earliest you can think is 2009. But it actually went back to all the way to 1996. All right, 1996. Of course, they call it anti-speculation measures. All right, it's still an anti-speculation measure because during then, I don't know how many of you actually remember back in the cowboy days, we like to call it. I mean, I was not involved in the business, but I saw my dad do it. And I tell you, it's really cowboy. Okay, I mean, when I'm in the business, when I ask him for his advice and I hear his stories, then I realize it's really a cowboy town last time in the entire property market. That's why they always find agents very dodgy, right? You know, we do funny monkey business behind the owner's back, and we do funny things. Of course, that has changed ever since 20 years now with CEA coming in to govern the entire industry. Everything has really elevated, and I applaud. Of course, I applaud that now we are being recognized as a professional. We have value, and most importantly, is now clients appreciate us. That we are able to help them progress in their property. It's not just about the commission. Okay, so we have actually managed to step out of this this gray area where the cowboy days are. So if you are not familiar with what happened in the old time, we can always maybe some of the seniors here can actually share some of your stories. So of course I did not go through it, but what I know is so from my dad, right? I know last time when you want to buy property, you need to down only 10%. All right, so 10% instead of the current 25% down payment, right? You just pay 10% and you can buy a property. And if you're on very good terms with banks, so this is what my dad did. The bank actually pay you money to buy property. So you don't need to take loan, but the bank actually give you money to buy property. So kind of interesting. I mean, of course, you got different. I mean, he's a business owner, he's a businessman, so he knows how to go about all this. Yeah, but these are the cowboy period. Everybody is over leveraging. There's no control in terms of how much we buy. There's no control about when we can sell. Can we buy more? So last time you can buy multiple properties, right? If you have heard from your parents or even some of you who are older, you have heard of the term flipping. All right, this is like a very big term, flipping. Okay, so flipping, what does it mean? If you are aware of what the term flipping, maybe you can comment below. Yes. All right. You can just comment yes below that you understand the term flipping. So flipping in a simple words, right, is I buy a property today because there's no guideline, right, when I should sell, like not unlike now. So I can buy today, I can sell 1 month later. I buy today, I can sell 4 weeks later, I can sell 3 weeks later, I can sell 5 days later, I can sell 3 days later. I can sell the moment I come out of the show flat, I sell within the next second. This is flipping. Okay, so when I was hearing it from my dad, I was like, what? It was unheard of. It was the cowboy days. So when they were flipping options, right, is of course you cannot do it now. Please don't think about doing it now. It doesn't make there's no sense to make it already because it's not part of the entire business model anymore for property, right? So imagine last time you can buy a property today, you down 10% or less. Immediately when it come out and there's another person who want to buy from you and you just sell it to them for maybe another 50,000 profit. Yeah, that's how it works. And I've heard, all right, so I've heard also drastic, stories. So drastic stories like when they queue, in a show flat, right, when they're buying new launches, right? So they queue, you can actually, so you're not selling properties, you're selling tickets, you're selling queue numbers, and they will pay. That means if let's say you are in the first few people who queue, right? We don't care who lah, you Bangla queue or help the Filipino mates queue without. But when you queue, if you are able to sell your ticket who's in the front queue to the back people, right? You know, I heard this story which is verified lah, okay, because they are in the business longer than me, right? You know, you can sell one ticket for 200,000. It's impossible. 200,000. So imagine if let's say you are somebody who just wake up earlier because you have nothing to do, and then you just queue for 3 days, 3 nights, right? And then you're on the first one, and maybe you just want to queue for fun, nothing to do, but you don't want to buy the property because you have no money. Just like that, you make 200,000. 想当年 we call it 想当年. But of course, this, when you look it back and you start seeing that if that time is now, how will the property market be? Kind of scary, right? So for those who have just joined us, welcome, to our live sessions daily. And today we are addressing some of these concerns from the papers yesterday regarding that the developers will likely cut prices for new launches. All right. So if you just join us, don't worry, just complete it together, and you can always revisit the video later on. Right. So this is going to be live. Yeah, so actually 20 years ago, cooling measure has been implemented to curb such speculations. Last time, there's a lot of speculators. Because I can buy today, I can sell the next hour because there's no seller's stamp duty. All right, so we are very, very familiar with seller's stamp duty. So it was seller's stamp duty that came in that prevented people from doing that. And also additional buyer stamp duty. So even if I have the money, I want to buy more properties, I also must think twice because there's additional tax involved. So these are all the measures along the last 20 years until today that was implemented. But if you look at this chart, right, even when 1996, right, it came down, and of course, whatever goes down will go up. And of course, the market for the last period was kind of in a slower growth period, but it still grow, meaning we are on a horizon to slowly grow up. But what happens is, in 2019, right, when the global financial crisis, so 2004 all the way to 2005 all the way to 2009, it actually went up to a certain level where then the crisis, the bubble and everything kind of formed. And we actually went through a lot of rounds. So the major first round, when the speculation, anti-speculation measures was implemented, so-called the revised version was a cooling measure, was during the 2009 financial crisis was the first round of the cooling measure because the prices went up too high, and the government came in to set a certain rules to make sure that the market is cool. That's why we call it cooling effect. All right. So that is just the first round, and it did help to maintain. Remember, the government is not trying to crash the market. All right. Singapore government is never always trying to crash property market. It's to maintain it in a positive growth, a slower growth. We don't want to have this kind of spike, right? If we have this kind of spike, it's very, very scary because it's like speculation. It can go into bubble and then burst. But whatever we are doing, we want it to be gradually growing. Then that's safer for you and me. We are still able to make some profits along the way in the horizon. Instead of when it spiked up too much, you and I want to buy property, we can't. So of course, during 2009 all the way to 2018, right? 2018, there were multiple rounds of cooling measures that was implemented. And one of the biggest impact, I would say, was in 2013, which is this, round 7. Like boxing, right? Ding, ding, round 7, all right? So round 7 was one of the biggest kind of implementation cooling measure, 2013. So this is, I think you and I, we will relate better in terms of 2013 cooling measures where TDSR, all right, TDSR and LTV was introduced. Bam! I tell you, that one is one of the biggest impact. So I'll run through a little bit with you guys. But if you look at this entire flow, right, you can see that things are maintaining. We have growth, we came down a little bit, but whatever goes down will still come up eventually. Because the government cannot let our property market to sustain to a certain benchmark. And if it goes too low, meaning our economy is going to be in deep trouble. Right? So just to give you some history of the last 20 years. So cooling measures actually started since 20 years ago, if you do not know. All right, so we're going to dive deeper into the smaller segments where they are more, I would say, the major costs in terms of our Singapore property market. So you can actually see where the macro views of each year is. So this chart, we're more familiar with the 13. Yeah, let's just look back in the past. So we're now in a pandemic, right? So SARS is definitely one of the most relatable situation. And of course, SARS did not really impacted much about the property market. As you can see from the chart, it actually still went up to 115% positive during the upswing period. And of course, one of the main situation was the global financial crisis because it combined together with swine flu. So kind of everything kind of hovering different situation. So even then, right, if you can look, it went down to minus 34. So a lot of us will be like, oh, wow, my property minus 34%. I'm very worried. But what many of us did not realize is whatever comes down will go up. Why will people fear when your property is on a negative downturn? Why are you concerned? The only way that I can see if you're concerned is because you did not do your sums well and you over leverage. That's why you're very fearful that you cannot pay off your property. If you're doing that, my friend, you're speculating. Maybe you want to readjust your portfolio a little bit so that you do not max yourself to that extent. All right. I don't think it's fair to buy a property and then we over leverage too much that we need to sacrifice our own lifestyle and our own family lifestyle to a certain level. All right. Property can be done step by step. You don't need to rush to it, but it has to have a better foundation. So as you move forward, your property can withstand any form of crisis. Then that is called buying a property. If not, you're just speculating. So during the global financial crisis, the prices actually went down 34%. And whatever just now we do understand, or whatever goes down will go up. And then for the next 3 years, actually, it went up almost 88%. Is it? Yeah, about 5 years. About 5 years went up, maximum 88%. You can see that there is this slight drop here. All right, 2011. All right, so this is where the adjustments came in. All right, we all know 2011, there's some adjustments in terms of our prices. So it was just a slight dip, 2011. So what the government always do is when they feel that the prices is a little bit higher than normal. So how do they determine this? So this is a regular gauge. They will gauge property prices and they based on income. All right. If our Singaporeans' income, or should I say Singapore, if our income has not increased, then if the prices for property has reached to a certain benchmark, they will want to push it down so that our income can still buy a property. Make sense? All right, so income is always a good indicator to determine if our prices are going to go up or not. Just one of the indicators. There are many, many indicators that we run through with our clients to make sure that all these indicators are covered. And property is not. Worst case scenario is the timing will be about maybe maximum 2 years. All right, but 2 years after that, everything goes in. So right now, you and I, we have an opportunity is because the SSD now is kept to 3 years. All right, instead of 4 years. So anything that we hold beyond 3 years, we basically no need to pay any more tax. Okay, good so far. Can you hear me right? Everything is in order, right? All right, so just to give you some stages of the crisis and what happens and pertaining to prices. All right, so this is also from URA and of course the research team, we actually come in together. So during the, so blue color is actually the new sales. And green color is resale. And of course, sub-sale is the gray color one. If you can see what actually maintains a property price, irregardless of whether you have a crisis or not, things are still moving forward. All right, because of the article from yesterday that we are trying to address, they stated, right, developer will likely be cutting down prices for new launches. So yeah, so I quickly do this deck just to explain to yours and seeing from a different perspective that things are not just about because the market is no good, because of the pandemic, that's why they want to reduce prices or cut down prices. There's a lot more things behind the scene, let's just say. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys a quick outlook of what happens back in 2012 and 2013. All right, so this is the entire year where suddenly everything just spikes up. Okay, that's where the highest peak. All right, and we all know what happened in 2013, right? So during this, let me just give you some history. So during 2012, 2013, the prices are always on an all-time high, first of all. And secondly, developers are actually aggressively bidding a lot of plot of land in 2012. So they actually plot about 24 plots of land very aggressively because there's a limited land supply, right? So everybody is, they rush, they overbid each other. So it also indirectly pushes the prices up. And for those who can remember, like if you can remember back then, right? J Gateway is one of the, Jurong property, right? So can you imagine during then, they were already selling at 1,007 per square feet in terms of property. And what's more, if today now you ask me, Jurong property, 1,007, okay lah, understandable lah. But back in 2012, 2013, will you buy? Will you buy a Jurong property at 1,007? If you will, maybe you can comment yes below. All right, if you feel that you can accept 1,007 back in 2012 and 2013 and you buy it, just put in the comment yes. So I won't because I study, right? So I know the prices is exorbitant, but because of the craze, right? Everybody is rushing, right? Wow, like 排队, everybody queue. Wow, I want to buy. So in 12 hours, actually the project got sold, fully, 12 hours, I won't say ridiculous, it got fully sold in 12 hours at that kind of price, and I was like, what? It's kind of impossible, but it did happen. So what happened actually during then? It was all the craze, prices going up, but nobody bothers, and they are just going with the hype. Oh, I want to buy this, I want to buy that, I want this. And this has been a cycle for a lot of consumers out there that we kind of don't learn our lesson that whenever there's a craze and when there's like a big hype, we still jump into it. Right? No man. Is that the best strategy? I don't know, man. If everybody is rushing, right, I would just think that if I'm a developer on the site, right, I would like, wow, a lot of interest, What will you do as a developer if you're standing on the site and you see so many people rushing, want to queue, take ballot number and everything? What will you do? Maybe you comment below what will you do as a developer. All right, maybe you can comment. If let's say you're a developer standing on the site, and then you start seeing so many people rushing to buy your property, and you haven't even opened the door, you have a price list on your hand, what will you do? If it's me, business people, I faster change. I change at a more high expensive price because I got a lot of demand. The craze is there. So any price I shop, maybe they will also buy. So this is what happened. If today I tell you Jurong Gateway is 1,007 per square feet, you'll be like, wow, 12 hours. So you also cannot believe one. All right, Jiande, right? Jiande say you're too young. Okay lah, how young are you? All right, I don't know how young you're, but you say, okay, increase price. Yes, precisely, because if you're a developer, you will increase price because you're ultimately here for business, right? But could there also be a chance where the prices are being adjusted multiple times, even in the 12 hours period? It could be though, that's why it reaches to 1,007 plus per square feet. It's crazy. And now looking back, I will tell you like, wow, 12 hours sold. I don't know, I kind of scary. And because of the market condition, everybody is like crazy. I just buy, I buy overpriced, developer price high, buyers also buy, just anyhow buy. So when it reaches to a certain point, which is here, the government came in. So we always hit our own foot. We don't want things to be gradual because we all very kiasu. Things go, we go. Like recent circuit breaker also, right? Actually, bubble tea can open one, but things happen, then they have to clamp down the bubble tea. Until last day, everybody chong for bubble tea. Hey, who actually chong for bubble tea? Maybe you can comment me. Right? Comment me. I did not lah. So, but one thing I should have chong for, I missed out. Okay, something that I should have chong for when the extended circuit breaker came in, and I still dilly-dally. That's why I give you a big hint. Why am I wearing a hat? Why am I wearing a cap? I should have chiong for the barber, man. Seriously. I mean, I really, that is the last thing on my mind. All right, because the day that when they announced, right, of the circuit breaker extended, right, I was busy updating all my clients. Okay, what to do, how to do, how should we progress with whatever we have planned, instead of taking off my own outlook. So pardon me if I'm keeping my hair intact with a cap. I hope 12 comes soon so I can go and cut hair. All right. Yeah. So if you plan also, that will actually help. And so we want to plan earlier, right? So when this happens, so government is like that. When things go overboard, they will come out and control it. So when they control it, of course, they will introduce the biggest measure ever, TDSR plus LTV. Okay, I'm not going to run through the details of LTV and TDSR, but I will maybe perhaps next week I'll run this topic. If you all like this topic, maybe I'll come out a deck to share with you all. Are there fire sales in the marketplace right now? How many of you like to know? All right, comment yes. All right, actually comment fire. All right, comment fire below. If you want me to run a session next week on are there fire sales in Singapore in the current marketplace, right? Comment fire below. All right, so I will prepare this and I will share with all of you. Who don't want fire sales? I also want fire sales, right? But are there? That's the most important question. So I don't want to give you guys any hint. All right, just comment fire, and if there's enough comments, I will do up a special deck. Are there fire sales in Singapore in this current marketplace? Okay, all right. So TDSR and LTV was introduced during then. So same thing lah. I mean, you just imagine this is a tap. I have a control over the tap. If the market is too hot, I on the tap so the water can come down and cool it. So that's what happened in 2013 when the cooling measure came in. So then we look at what happened after the cooling measures kick in, so which is from 2013 to 2016. So when the government kick in, this is the biggest, this is one of the biggest cooling measure because it actually controls not just about your purchase, it actually controls the limit of your borrowing. So this one is a double impact. All right, my borrowing now becomes tighter. And if I want to buy a second property, I have to pay more. Wow, double whammy. So this actually floods out a lot of speculators in the market. They have no place to get, they have no place to buy, they cannot play this game anymore. So it actually floods out a lot of speculators. So ever since 2013 and now, a lot of the buyers in the market are the genuine ones. Whether you are upgraders, you are first-time timers, or whether you are downsizing, we are all genuine buying. And that's what the government want us to do. Because if you do not realize, right, 75% of Singapore properties, right, are purchased by local Singaporeans. 75% of the properties in Singapore is purchased by local Singaporeans. Or I mean PR and Malaysian, of course, as long as you're Singaporean. So we are self-sustained within our own population. Instead, we are not like Malaysia or some other Southeast Asia countries. They need foreign purchasers to fund their properties. So Singapore is very unique. We are able to actually house and maintain our flow of properties supply. So if today, if you can find one property that is a block that is empty, right? You can never find. Sorry, my pen just flew. Give me a second. Sorry about that. My pen just flew. So yeah, and I'm back. That's why I get excited whenever I talk about property, right? You can see my excitement. I really want you guys to learn. I mean, if you guys have been learning so far, just comment learn in the comment section below, so I know that you're actually taking all this back. So what does 75% of population Singaporeans be able to buy our property means? Meaning we are self-sustaining. All right, we do not need foreigners to come and inject into our economy. Within ourselves, we are able to sustain the entire marketplace. And that is why when 2013 and 2016, right, the entire market kind of slowed down, right? It did not spike down, it did not nosedive. So there is a misconception that a lot of us have. We think that whenever there's a cooling measure, things will come down. Like, it did in a smaller scale. All right, so Singapore cannot let it go down too low. Let's just say that. All right, so it slowed down. And the interesting part is during this period, when it slowed down, so first of all, of course, it slowed down. All right, and we took a poll on some of the projects that were during that period launch. All right, so there's a few projects that I just want to name. So Lakeview, View. All right, we're launching about 2,000 per square feet plus. Lakeview also in the Jurong area, Lakeside, that kind of area. And during this period, right, they only sold about maybe 60 units. 60 units. 60 units sold. About 60 units. And then of course some other projects, just to give you some example, Panorama, if you are familiar, about 25 sold. And I'm reading the data that we have collected. And then Kingsford Waterway, which is at Hougang, okay, about 1,000 per square feet, was about 60 units sold. So you can see that clearly during a switch in terms of the cooling measure, right, things start to come down a little bit, and prices also was not escalated as fast. And that is the period, this 3 years was the period where the developers, of course, they have a maximum of 5 years to sell their property. They were like clearing, adjusting here and there to adjust it and try to sell it as much as possible. So that is the period. So why am I showing you all this data? Is data don't lie. Okay, even when we look at our history of all this data, right, it gives us a glimpse of what happened in the past. Because history will tend to repeat by itself. Not exactly the same, but it tends to repeat the same cycle over and over again. So by us helping you guys to evaluate your data based on past, right, it gives us a good glimpse of what is going to happen. And we all know, right, Singapore property market is like a 10-year cycle, one big cycle, but in this 10-year cycle, there's a lot of small ones. So I'm showing you the small ones now. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, we do a lot of research. So if you find that this is good, give me some love and hearts. All right, I know that you're learning. So when things go down, then what happened? Government also make some adjustment. All right, remember the on tap, off tap. All right, so during 2000 until 2016, things are not moving as well. Government did not shut off the cooling measure, but they adjust a little bit. They adjust a little bit. And what was the adjustment done? Our SSD from 4 years adjust to 3 years. This is where we are now. All right, so all SSD from 4 years means when you can sell. Okay, this is when you can sell. It adjusted, so they till a little bit, and then what happened? Boom, prices go up again. So Singapore are kind of very reactive whenever a government policy come in, whether you buy or not, then it kind of depending on them. All right, so then 2017, what happened? When government adjusts a little bit, prices go up again. You can see prices go up. Okay. And during then, because there's a fundamental problem in Singapore property market, is that there's not enough supply. They did not build enough. So it's a very fundamental economics, right? If we do not have enough supply, what will happen to price? Okay, let me just ask again. If there is not enough supply, will price go up or go down? Maybe you can comment below what's your theory. If there's not enough supply, price go up or price go down? Okay, you can just comment up or down in the comment section below. So in theory, for basic economics, when there's not enough supply, meaning everybody is rushing to find a property to buy, right? Because they need to stay, right? And 75% of them are Singaporeans. They're trying to find where to buy, what to buy. So of course they will overpay also. They will buy and then just pay for it. And that's why prices also went down. All right, so Twin View, 90% sold during that period. So it also went to a certain level where it's a little bit unimaginable. So during this period, on tap again. So they came in ABSD plus 75% LTV. All right, so if for those who are in the property market, this is a plus 5%. All right, so before 2007-2018 measures, our ABSD is at 7%. And then now add on another 5%, that's 12%, which is what we are experiencing now. So LTV previously was 80%. That means we can borrow up to 80% of our maximum loan. And then now it minus all 5%. So you are now stuck lah. Not say stuck lah, I would say you have to prepare more and you can't borrow so much. So your cash flow and your CPF, everything is going to be more. That is the very important element. Right, thank you, Jiande. You say go up. Xiao Po Ying. Ying is your surname or Xiao? Sorry. So it should be Po Ying, right? Yeah, Po Ying also stated up. Yeah. So when things go up, we all know the government will come in and intervene again. So it is very, very direct. So when they came out this ABSD plus 5%, we got worried that, oh, I cannot, even if you want to buy a property, you can't because of all these new changes and all these measures, right? So it makes the entire market kind of adjusted by itself. So when it happens, then we realize that how will this cycle be moving forward? Because whenever there's a marketplace that when the prices goes a little bit too high, right? Government will come and intervene, but who will be the one that actually benefit the most when prices go up? Okay, I can safely tell you it's not you and me. Just now we did the exercise, right? Who is the one who stay by the show flat when the market goes up? Who can make the most money? Developer. Developer are one of the few that they know when the market is to their advantage, right? Wow, done. Okay, they know one. They know and they want to, of course, capitalize on the advantage. But how can we play the game with them? Okay. So during my private consults, we actually teach our clients. Okay, we guide our clients on how to actually go behind the scene on how developers price their property, and we will know what kind of pricing we should enter. All right. So they will still have to make money, but what if we are able to buy at a price that they don't actually make as much as before? All right. So it did happen. So developers actually have the tendency to even make profits up to 30, 40, even sometimes 50% out from us. So that's you and my profit. So today, if I ask you to go and buy a property, right, that is, the developer is going to make 30, 40% out of you. 你甘愿吗? Will you be shocked? For me, I won't. So I will always try to make sure that the margin is, I won't say low. It cannot be zero. They still have to make money, all right, because they have different costs involved, right? And they are in business. They also won't do a losing money business. Let's just for a sec. But what if we are able to channel that kind of profit into us? That means us as consumer, we pay lesser and yet we have the opportunity to make more money. I think that is what we all want to actually achieve. All right, so in 2017, so this is the one. Oops. So let me share with you when the prices went up during 2017 and 18, right? This is what we have done. We did a breakdown because we know how to study this, and we realized that there's a certain fundamental based on pricing that we can base on. So the first channel that you can see, right, this is their land price. Land price, there's the gray column. So when you buy a land from the government, whether it's en bloc or government land sales, doesn't matter. That is your cost. You buy off somebody, and that's your raw land cost that you going to pay for. Then of course we have the break-even price. So what does break-even price mean? Meaning the blue column is where all the prices for all the costs, expenses, your marketing expenses, your construction expenses, commissions to agencies, your development charge to governments, or extensions of tenure to government. So there are all these costs involved that you and I, we don't see. But because we have done so much research, right, we know estimate in order for a developer to actually acquire a land and what they need to build and do to sell, we roughly know what's the percentage. And lastly, you will have your profit margin. So profit margin, of course, is not determined by you, not determined by me, but determined by how much they want to make. All right, so in this case, in 2017 and 2018, developers were actually marking up their property prices up to 40%. So who's a developer here? All right, if you're hearing this, good. I mean, we let's share. Maybe you can don't mark up so high so that we still have some margin to make. Or who likes that? Lower margin, right? So we can also make some money. All right, so during then, because the market tension was very, very high, like the show flat example I was carrying, everybody was rushing. They were making that amount, but do you know when you were queuing it, and do you know when you are actually fighting for that unit that you want to buy? You don't know. So when all these units was marketing at this kind of pricing, it's very shocking because first of all, you could be buying actually at a higher price without you realizing because of the margin. And what happens when you want to sell? Do you agree that when you want to buy a property, it's very easy? You no need to come to me. You throw one stone out there, there's an agent out there that can help you just to buy. Just buy, anything can buy. You probably go, just buy. But when you want to sell, that's when you have a concern because you may be buying at the wrong price or the high price that when you want to sell, the market cannot accept. So there's this statement that I like to share with you guys. Write it down if you can. You buy a property is to sell one day. All right. When you buy a property is to sell one day. So you don't just buy and then don't think about how your exit plan is, right? So why would we still do back? We just buy and then we don't bother. Because when we buy, if we don't sell, we don't have realized profit at all. Everything is just in your house. But if you want to get out this profit, we want to unlock this profit out, you have to sell. So why would we want to look at how we buy a property, but we don't look at how we sell a property? Make sense? All right, food for thought. So in our consults with our clients, we always not just look at what you buy. We also look into how your exit is going to be in the next 3, 5, or even 8 years down the road. Then that makes sense for you to enter into a property. Because if you want to just buy, anything can buy. Whether you make money or not later on, whether there's profit or not, that's a different story, right? But if you want to do properly in your property plan, then we look at how to buy and how to sell. Both your entry and your exit strategy has to be very, very concise. If not, you'll be losing money. Okay? So because of 2017, 2018, the prices went above. So what will happen? This one, I think you all can see the cycle, right? Up, down. Singapore property, I can very clearly tell you, very predictable. Why? Because we have all the access to all this data. We have data, we have internet, everything is transparent. You know, we are the only country in Southeast Asia, right, that data is transparent. We know there's no governance to say that we cannot release all this information. It's a free world, man, for all the data. But of course, asking you as a homeowner, who's working and have kids, for you to go and piece out all these things for you, cannot. You all don't know. That's why we are here. Our role here is to help you piece all this information so that when you want to make a plan for your property, right, you can make a better decision. You have the knowledge, you have the data, you have the details to make a better informed decision. And that is what we do. That is what we have been doing for all our clients ever since I started the business back in 08, 09. All right. So we want to make sure that you don't make a decision based on you don't know. Okay, last time, my parents' time, I can say they don't know. Okay, because they have no internet. The information is not easily available. Data was only maybe available since 1996. So I can close eyes and say that, okay, you don't know, that's why you buy the wrong property or blah, blah, blah. But today, if anyone in this community, you still tell me that you don't know, cannot. Okay, everything is out there. It's whether we want to piece them all together. And I know you guys are very, very busy. Don't have time. Let us do the job for you. Because that's part of our role, right? That's our responsibility. That's the value we want to give it to you. Because by us piecing out the information and the knowledge and the numbers, then now you have a bigger overview. You know what is happening. Instead of you don't know and then you just choose the one route. How can you be so sure that this route that you think is correct? So maybe there's another route. Or maybe there's 3 routes that you can take, but you don't know because you never find out. You don't have the knowledge. But we can help you give a different perspective. We give you a different perspective that actually there could be a better way to do what you want to do in your property plans. And that is the reason we are here. My role is just to facilitate this entire process, provide enough information for you to make a better decision. The decision is still up to you. I cannot make a decision. You don't tell me, hey, Edmund, I buy this, right? Can I buy this or not? Hey, don't put it on me. I will show you what can or what cannot. All right, very openly. What can, what cannot. Then you and the family decide which path do you want to go. So I will always show you, even when you buy a property, example, when you want to buy a property, you will know potentially 3, 5, 8 years down the road, right? What is the outcome going to be? Then it's fair, right? If this is the way, then it's fair for you to buy a property. If not, don't buy. If you don't even see the consequences by entering the property, why would you want to buy this property and then forgo whatever you have now? I don't think it's fair. Okay, I always want my clients to know what are you getting yourself into. It's the same thing today when you are going for an interview, right? You know what to expect. You're gearing up for this interview. You know what are the expectations that you want to meet. Same thing for property lah. It's the biggest ticket item that you ever buy, but yet don't you think that we are taking it very, very lightly and very, very easily? Something I always, because of my dad's experience, okay, for those who have not seen my story, right, let me know, connect with me. I'll share with you my story through my story video, then you can maybe understand me a little bit more because of my past experiences. That's why I'm very, very worried and very concerned whenever there's a situation where clients, they don't take property as a very important element in their wealth planning, in their financial goals planning, all right? So what happened after 2007, 2018? So this is where we are now. So in 2019 and 2022, we are already in an adjustment phase. So we are already past this period. And of course, the sales and everything for projects also is slower lah. Okay, this one I have to share with you. And this data is not, so when I did this data, right, it's before COVID situation. Meaning the cycle already tells us between 2019 to 2022, right, we are supposed to be in a slowdown. Supposed to be. Already supposed to be. So this is where the opportunity comes in. Why? The COVID made it even better, even slower for us to enter. Because the chances are for them to increase price, do you think it's going to be a lot? I don't think they're there. Okay, they can't because everybody's fearful. Then the article came in and say all this. So, but of course, from a developer angle, they still are in for business. They still need to make some profit margin. You cannot ask them to sell below their land price or sell below their break-even price, right? I mean, this is business, man. Yeah, so this is already projected that 2019 to 2022, sales are supposed to be slower. But now with the COVID, wow, it's like a hammer, push, bring it down, right? The thing will even be slower. So we are always worried about one thing. We are not concerned, we shouldn't be worrying about developer dropping price because they still have a margin. If you can hear this right, there is still a cost involved in everything that they do. Can they go below this cost? That is the very big question. It's very unlikely lah. They are all listed companies, they have big banks to support you. They won't go below. But what if their margin that they make out of us is actually thinner? Wouldn't that put you and me on a better advantage? As long as they don't increase price lah, like last time, 30-40%. They don't increase price, we are very, very glad already. But we just buy into a certain price that is affordable to ourselves, and we know that they are not making as much through us. And now the situation, do you think they dare to even increase prices? Chances are no lah. They want your business even more. All right, so these are some of the small gaps of perspective and opportunity that I see that will definitely help in terms of our understanding for property. And most of the time is because we are so clouded in the situation that we just buy lah, just sell lah. There's no fundamentals, there's no data to support all this decision making, which is what I don't want any one of you in the community to do. I want all of you to really take some of all this knowledge that you have, and take it with you that don't do your property based on just emotional purchase or sales anymore. There's a fundamental of data that can support some of your decision making. Let us use that to drive what's your plan going to be instead. Because the numbers don't lie. Okay, numbers is yes, can we do. Cannot means don't do lah. Very straightforward. There's no like if or maybe I can do. Alright, so we don't want that to happen. Alright. Yeah, so this is just something that I want to pull out for today lah. So to share with you guys a little bit of how things are for some of this. Because of this one big title. For those who have just joined us, this is the title where the let me see. So this is the one that it came out yesterday. All right. So that's why when this article came out, I feel obligated to actually share a different perspective with you guys of how I see things. All right. And for those who are still with me. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I know I overrun quite a fair bit today because I feel that this is very, very important to share with you guys on how things are going to be in the near future for property. And of course, tomorrow, for those who are still tuning in, tomorrow we have a very exciting session that we are running that is private. Oh, so I haven't do the link, right? Okay, let me just run the link so that you guys can see. So tomorrow, let me just reiterate and make this announcement. Tomorrow, I'm running a private session for about 20 to 30 of you. Should be about 30 lah. Right now, we should be already having about 20 people. So should be about 30 of you. I'm keeping it cozy so we are able to interact. And during tomorrow 7:30 live, it's not going to be Facebook. It's going to be Zoom live. All right. So it's going to be intimate. I want to engage with you. And at the same time, I will also share with you how to actually spot opportunities in a crisis like today. What are the few key pointers that you need to take out? I don't have nothing to sell. I'm not telling you, oh, this project, go and buy lah, or this property resale one, go and buy lah, or this HDB. No. The objective of tomorrow's session is to give you indicators. How do you actually spot opportunities? Because indicators is the fundamental of how we should run our property plans. Not based on, wow, now it's cheap. I think it's cheap, I go and buy. No, I think I already gathered very key indicators that you yourself can actually understand and spot the opportunities in a crisis. That's why we're going to run this session tomorrow. That's why we're going to keep it hush-hush. Okay, for those who never tune in, they miss it. So for those who are still joining in today, thank you so much. I'm going to put in the link right now so that you can actually register yourself. It will be happening tomorrow, 7:30. 3 hours before the session, I will cut off the registration. So come in, join us. And if you know any of your friends or loved ones or close ones who really in need of some knowledge about property, feel free to just add them to our group and like and follow us. All right, like and follow us here. Okay, if you have not done, and most important is let me see. Okay, this Remember to just set your notification to see first. So every single time during our live sessions or whenever I post something, you can actually come forward and you can actually witness it the first time. And there are always goodies, like this goodie. Most of them who are not live, they don't know, they will not attend. Okay, so for those who are joining me tomorrow, I'll see you at 7:30. So again, this will not be Facebook Live, it will be Zoom Live. So it's a very intimate session, about 20 to 30 of you, and I will run through more in depth of how do you spot opportunities in a crisis. How do you spot opportunities in a crisis? And I'm going to run it with you guys tomorrow. So with that, have a good evening. All right, thank you for staying on. I will look forward to see you guys tomorrow. All right, cheers.